As Dana Hamp Gulick. I'm a candidate for the 96th House District, and this is my story. Born here in Lancaster, I went to Manheim Township High School. I went to the University of Pittsburgh, where I earned 2 bachelor's degrees, one in German language and one in communications. And then I started my career in marketing. People should vote for me because I'm going to bring the bold moves and the vocal advocacy and the willingness to really be strategic and to push on pushable places and pull on the pullable ones. I'm going to do the work that I think is not being done in this district right now. Most important is that I am a single mother to a 17-year-old daughter. I am a caregiver to my aging mother, and I serve on the board of 2 local nonprofits that help families in crisis. 2022 brings us a brand new district in the 96th that has been redrawn, and we have an opportunity to send 2 Democrats from Lancaster County to Harrisburg for the very first time ever. There has been the same representative here for 30 years, and a lot has changed in 30 years. The world has changed drastically since my opponent was first elected. And I think now is the time to replace somebody who is comfortable and out of touch with somebody who is hungry and passionate and wants to do this work. I'm going to focus on raising the minimum wage immediately so that families can work 40 hours a week and afford a place to live. Everybody, every family should be safe, healthy, and thriving. And I think I'm the person for that at this time. My name is Dana Hamp Gulick. I'm candidate for State House in the new 96th District, and I approve this message.
Good morning. Wake up, guys. It's TCP in the morning.
Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up. It's TCP in the morning.
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 It's TCP in the morning. It's TCP in the morning.
TCP in the morning.
It's 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 TCP in the morning.
Good morning. Wake up, y'all. It's TCP in the morning with the morning tea.
Sing the song here in a minute.
TCP in the morning.
No.
28 days of school left here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. About 28 days of school left. I'm sure one of our school board directors is on the line, and they're going to probably give me a more concise number. But I think we're at about 28, 29 days of school left, guys. So, yeah, go on ahead. Get those summer calendars ready, because you can't be having your kids in the house all day. Don't be that parent. Sign them up for summer camp. Sign them up for something, because they should be in the house all day. Over to the desk.
Hey. So listen up, y'all. It's a Monday, and we really about to go in. DJ Quiet Storm, he's somewhere around again. But, yo, let's take it over to Double O. Double O, how was your weekend, my man?
Man, listen, I had a great weekend. You know, what they don't tell you about entrepreneurial work is you get weeks off before you work real hard. So I had a couple gigs to do this weekend, which was really exciting. Man, I'm glad to be here. Made it through a beautiful weekend, a race against racism. Lancaster showed out for their city on the weekend, man. Glad to be here. Let's get these people the news, man.
Hey.
Yes, folks.
Microphone.
Want to let you know.
Microphone.
Folks, want to let you know. She said, start the convo again. First thing we heard is 28 days. All right. Well, all right. Well, we'll start it again.
Oh, let's do it from the top then.
From the top.
Well. Let's go.
Welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I said. Happy birthday to my man Frank. Brush your teeth, brush your ass, because your morning team is back. Had a great, wonderful weekend. Hope you had one too. Sorry, what up?
What up? Can you hear me now? What up? How y'all doing? Happy Monday. Had a great weekend. I'm glad we back to do this thing. It was a beautiful weekend.
Yeah, man.
You know, refreshing, rejuvenating.
Yeah, man.
Now I'm ready to Frank the Tank. I'm ready to party on into the spring, baby.
And I'm having a problem holding these gators down.
You can't. Because gators don't take no wish. Let's go, baby.
Yes. Folks, say good morning in the comment section. Lady L, what up, though?
Hey, good morning. So listen, Rebecca said the first thing that you guys heard was the 28. I'm sorry, I was telling the fib. It's 24. It's 24 days until the end of the school year for our children here at School District of Lancaster. So shouts out to all you parents. Listen, I want to let you guys know, go ahead and sign them babies up for summer camp, because they can't sit in the house all day long. Please do not be that parent, okay? Go on ahead, sign them kids up for something. Get them out the house. I don't care if you sign them up for summer school. They got 24 more days left of school. What will your kids be doing this summer? Let us know. Drop it down in the comments. Also, please, go on ahead and start saving up them coins for these prom tickets, y'all. Le Promenade is happening. It's going down. The adult prom, September 10th at Millersville University Wear Center. It's going down. Tickets are available on Eventbrite as of right now. And we will be doing a special discount for those of you who've downloaded the TCP Plus app. Over to the desk. Good morning.
Yo, folks, just want to let you know, my name is Marcus Slupton, also known as DJ Quiet Storm.
DJ Quiet Storm.
I'm not going to waste too much time, because we got to get into this thing we call news. So let's throw it on over to DJ Double O. Double O, what up?
Hey, man, I said it once. I'm going to say it again. I'm happy to be here. Great weekend. Glad to see the family, man. I feel like every Monday feels like it's like family reunion. Even in the comments, I'm looking for familiar names I know. I'm looking for people to say good morning. So if you ain't saying good morning, I'm calling you out today, man. I'm glad to see y'all. We here. Let's get these people the news, man.
Yes. Let's give the people the news. But first, our good mornings. Folks, good morning to you. Don't be rude. Say it back.
Name.
And you got to share the stream. Friends don't let TCP. Friends don't let friends TCP alone. So make sure you share the stream and let them know that the best thing you can have in your cup is not actually Folgers, but it's TCP in the morning. Neville, good morning to you. Lisa, good morning. Sabrina says, good morning, everybody. I am done with training and back home. Well, welcome home. Welcome home.
Oh, you done made it through AT now, huh?
Yes, thank you. Thank you,
Welcome
thank you,
back
thank
and
you.
thank you.
Sucks, no.
Until next time, you have to play soldier.
Right.
Hope you relax this time and enjoy this time with your family. Venus, Dr. Rick says good morning.
Good
George Campbell,
morning.
what it do? Happy Monday to you. Shamika, good morning to you. It was great to see you. What was it, last week at the track meet?
Her daughter got some wheels.
Yeah,
Her daughter got some wheels.
All her girls are athletes.
Yeah.
Well, what? They nice.
Kirsten, good morning to you. Hello, how you doing? How you been? Glad to see you. I heard that you'll be Is it a secret?
No, it's no secret.
What?
It's no secret.
Well, I heard that you'll be painting this African god over here.
This is a big canvas. This is a big canvas. Hope you bring a lot of paint. What I want to say. I don't want to promote anything, but we will be out not this weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
For Velocity.
Yes.
Yeah, cannot wait. Jose, good morning to you. Good morning to you. And Chiquita, good morning to you as well. Chiquita, the logo extraordinaire. Chiquita, can I ask you this? When you going to do motion graphics? Just asking, just putting it out there. If you already do, I'm going to hit you up. So, folks, we are going to put the prom link in the comment section so that you can click on the link and save, because we have our early bird prom tickets going on right now. Also, the magazine, the May edition of the magazine has launched. So if you would like a copy, put your email in the comment section so that we can send you that email today and get you the TCP online magazine. Folks, we have a jam-packed show for you today.
Bang!
Jam-packed show for you today. We're talking about a gay sexuality alliance club event. Some think went a little haywire. So we're going to get into that. An algorithm that screens for child neglect in Pennsylvania has been deemed racist. How? Well, if the person that programs the system is racist, well, then said system will be racist. So we're going to get into that. Also, a black teen stops going to school because the school says that he needs to cut his locks. So his family took him out of the school and decided to homeschool. This is not an isolated incident. This is happening all over America as more states adopt the Crown Act. There's more states that are not adopting it. We're about split right in the middle right now, with 23 of our states have adopted the Crown Act, and the other half did.
Even though we know the terminology is quite racist, and who cares, right?
That part. And then also, we are going to peel back the layers on January 6th and the details that has come out so far. Some scathing details about how GOP lawmakers have worked with some of the January 6th rioters, this treasonous act, and how they tried to steal this past election and look forward to stealing successfully more elections.
Same people that are in power now.
Yes. So folks, we are going to get into those details, peel back those layers, and give you what you want, what you needed, and you did not know exists.
Bang!
So let's do it, folks. I think it's time to give you what you want and what you needed. Turn it up. Tell your folks, tell your friends, tell your kids. It's that time. This is my favorite news show, y'all. And then tell them, tune in and comment, because this is for us. Let's go. Time to give the people, yeah. Give the people what they want.
And that's the news.
With a shimmy.
Thanks for stopping by. Our first story for today, folks. Hey, Ray, good morning to you. Good morning to you. So, a Pennsylvania district is appalled, and they are investigating an after-school drag show at a Gay Sexuality Alliance Club event. And this is from Penn Live. The Hempfield School District issued a statement last week apologizing for what has been described by several social media outlets as an after-school drag show that was held by the Gay Sexuality Alliance Club at Hempfield High earlier last week. The district said Friday in a message posted to its website that it was made aware of a serious situation that took place at the high school on Monday, April 25th, after school. The event reportedly features dancers in tight-fitting and revealing clothing with exposed buttocks, and that was from a Lancaster Online report. The district said in its statement that it was made aware of the photos and videos of the performance and that it immediately began an investigation. First and foremost, the administration team apologizes to students, parents, and the community on behalf of those involved in this event. It said, "We are appalled at what took place and in no way condone this type of activity in our schools. Neither the dress of the invited guests nor the performance was appropriate in our setting." The district said that it was taking the incident seriously. Lancaster Online reported that Meredith Hilt posted about the event in a community Facebook group. The site said that Hilt said that her concern had nothing to do with sexual orientation of those involved, but said that she had an issue with the performance. It has nothing to do with them as an LGBT community, she said. She told the site. It wouldn't make a difference to me if it was a woman doing this. It's irrelevant that they are drag queens. It's the type of performance at a school. Hilt, who reportedly has 2 children in the district, told Lancaster Online that the exposed buttocks and types of dancers are not what she would consider appropriate for the age group. But another parent of children in the district, Melissa Taylor, told the site she believes parents whose children were not in the group should not involve themselves with what occurred. All they are doing is hurting the kids in that club and the teacher. If your kids aren't involved and you're not giving your permission, why are you getting involved? The school reportedly told parents that an unnamed individual has been placed on administrative leave while the investigation takes place. So, folks, Jen, and you were the one that I was waiting on to comment about this. Jen says the school district also apparently has approved this for the past 3 years, and now they want to be surprised. She says, sorry, I pay attention to the school board stuff too, and that's what we wanted to know. It says, P.S. Hilt is also with Free PA, and they're trying to use this as a wedge issue before the primary on the 17th.
They're horrible.
So I like that's what I wanted to get to. Like, there's an approval process here. Like, don't just make it seem like, you know, the
this
ones
happened
that
in a silo.
It
was cloaked in secrecy.
Right, like this there was a approval process. Furthermore, an administrator is not going to. We would assume and hope that an administrator would not put their career at risk for something off of a whim. Like this,
Right.
this had to be planned. This had to be talked about,
organized,
Right.
scheduled.
right? And it was executed. And then, like, there's a bunch of layers to this, folks. And then you find out the ones that are complaining are the ones whose kids aren't even involved and whose kids weren't even there. So then it's like, what is this really about? Is this about more of the prudish behavior that is being exuded in our county schools? Like, are these you know are Karens here with the fake clutch my pearls? Oh my gosh! Because I tell you this, America, and I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna see if they have a gun club. I'm gonna see if the high school has a gun club. They have a hunting club.
No, they do.
Because I want to see that same energy. Because now I'm concerned they're learning about guns. What is that going to do? That's going to make them want to bring guns to school.
I mean, even the concept of impact. I mean, do they have an impact club? Because they have to learn about sex to learn what to avoid.
Right.
My thing is, this club has been around for the past 3 years. It's a year 3 club, and for why do this? We want students to be comfortable in school. All right, we hide the fact of the younger generations, the older generations were so wrong because they refuse to talk about what goes on in schools, what goes on in real life. You know, when you get out of school, what really goes on after you get out of school? How do you deal with things? You know, they don't teach you that in school. You know, they didn't teach us credit. They're not teaching about sexuality. Like, how do they expect people to go out into the world and really know how to handle this and be okay with it? Like, as if drag isn't a part of life. Like,
Right.
there are people. It's a part of people's lives. Like, there's a whole club for it. Why does anybody have an issue with what's going on in this club? Why? Like, it's their club. Like,
Right.
no one's saying, hey, you have to come to this club. You need to take this. You're being force-fed this. You're not being force-fed it.
Right.
You pick or choose. You can either have it or you don't have to have it. Like, but don't ignore it. Don't act like, oh, no, gay kids don't exist. Kids don't know they're gay.
Right.
You can't know you're gay. No, you don't know that. You know why? Because you don't know if you're gay or not. You may be you may have a thing against gay people because why? Because you may be secretly gay and you might want to talk about it. Like there's reasons for things. Like you let these kind of things intimidate you, and they're doing it across the country, okay? Because these drag performances, like it's not just happening at one school. It's been happening all over. It's happening in Madison, Wisconsin. It's happening in Middletown, Kentucky. Like it's going on across the United States. All right, we live in a society where we go, oh, drag is wrong, gay is wrong. Where that's what they want. They want to preach that. That's what's being preached to you. It's an abomination. It's an abomination. You're going to burn in hell for it. Like, why? So that's where I'm at on. I think we should just let the clubs do their own thing. It's their clubs. Like, leave them alone.
I mean, let them go through the oversight process like everybody else.
Yeah,
and if nobody objects, you don't have a right to object after the fact when you're not attending the club yourself.
But the thing is, no, they have this oversight. The people on the oversight probably aren't going to relate. So they'll still shoot it down. So it's like, why not give them the freedom to conduct this club in a safe manner? This person's already a teacher, and you trust them to be a teacher and to teach these kids every day.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't trust them to do this the right way.
Because here's the thing, they have a Fellowship of Christian Athletes Club. Is there concern there that there's this collection of these Christian athletes? And I mean, January 6th was filled with a bunch of Christians who stormed the Capitol in the name of Jesus. So then, should we then be scared that they're planning on storming Hempfield High School? I mean, it's not a slippery slope, but it could be a slippery slope here. Before I have more commentary, Lady L, let's get you up in here and this ridiculousness.
All right, so here's the thing. The advisors for the Gender Sexuality Alliance, they have been doing these events for a while now. This apparently is something that they've been doing ongoing throughout the school year. It's not like, oh, they just did it this week. Oh, this happened. Like, no, this has been an ongoing activity as a part of the student group. And now I mean, from reading the comments, as far as from like the different Hempfield, the family groups, the parent groups, and everything like that, it seems as though there were a number of parents whose children aren't necessarily in the group who became aware of the group and their activities. And now those parents are speaking out, saying things like, this shouldn't be allowed. This is what's happening, to our kids and, in our district. And there are parents that are speaking out about this as if this is something that is going on for 6th graders.
Right.
Or 8th graders. We're talking about high school students. Like, the youngest person potentially in the space is 14.
This is life adjacent preparation.
Right. And so what I think is really interesting is that there are a number of parents who are like saying like, oh, this is like a don't ask, don't tell. They didn't do a permission slip. Why do I need a permission slip to be inside of the building?
After school.
After school.
For a voluntary group.
Right. Hey, it's a bunch of reaches here.
Like, they're not taking me on a trip out nowhere. They're not taking me to the farm. They're not taking me, to New York. We're talking about being in school after hours, meeting with my group, right? Because that's where after school clubs happen. They happen after school. So I think I love what my husband said. It is very much so reaching, right? And this group has been organized and doing their thing in the school for years. And what I think is most interesting is that there are students who have been bullied. So having a group like this in the building, I think, offers more support than it hinders them. And unfortunately, this whole thing being brought to light, I think we're probably not even focusing on the real issue, which is, why did they need the group in the first place? What support was that group offering to the students?
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden that same group has this
under scrutiny.
Right. Right, and then what's going to happen to all those kids?
Right, and how many people are going to attend the next meeting and now not attend that next meeting and now not have the support in the community that they need?
Well, they're going to be having a school board meeting on May 10th in Landisville, y'all.
There you go. Like, yo, point blank period. Like, after reading this story this week and then after reading the story from York last week, like what's going to happen is they just going to make everybody gay devil lovers. Like for real. You know, last week it was trying to silence the Satanists. This week it's trying to silence the LGBTQ plus community. Like this is nonsense. And I will tell you this.
Under his eye, bro.
I'll tell you this. It sounds like if we want to talk about agendas and indoctrination and everything like that, I'm gonna get to the comments after this. It sounds like there's a hetero agenda.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's heterosexual indoctrination going on.
I mean,
doesn't it seem like it?
Do you think they'd be more comfortable with the satanic after school program?
They're just throwing their heterosexualness in our face.
They should be more comfortable with the satanic.
It's the obvious
threat
of white masculinity.
Remember the after school program we talked about the Satan temple with the satanic? Would they be more comfortable with that?
No.
I mean, you look at their tenets, like, where are you guys uncomfortable at? Where do you guys draw the line at?
I think you guys are misunderstanding the point. The point of white supremacy is that they make up the rules and they change them whenever they see fit.
Move the goalpost.
Yep. God is love unless you're colored or gay.
Under his eye.
Right. Jen says under school district also apparently up. Let me get past that. Jen says also, why is the queer advisor on administrative leave but not the straight one? I'm just about to get to that as well, and says it's about Hempfield not protecting all of its students. Sabrina says culture wars, and then Jen says, Sarge, the club has been around longer. This is year 3 of the drag show. Thaddeus says they heard about butt cheeks and got appalled, but bet they watch worse TV with their kids. That part.
Let's talk about the strip clubs they've been to.
Right. I was about to say something very dark, but I'll just leave it in the darkness. Jen says Hempfield School District are transphobes. They have been trying to gatekeep sports and bathrooms and books, and now they have fuel to add to their fire. The LGBTQIA students need safe spaces, indeed. And she says on the smartphones, but they put in their kids' hands and says Hiltz and these parents. Kirsten, again, good morning. She says, as a well-known homosexual who has gone to school, GSAs, these kids are going to clap back pretty soon and put everyone in their place. I hope so. I hope it's glorious and large and we catch it on camera. Right. Absolutely. Jen says, calling it indoctrination, grooming, and saying it's corruption of minors. And then Rebecca says, I was told about this Friday night, but listen to this. I was told about this Friday night by someone, 55 in Millersville, grown kids, no affiliation to Hempfield, who I know is in that free PA group. She was so appalled, told me Hempfield administration had no idea this was going on. The teacher unlocked the building and let people in after hours. That's the kind of rumors free PA is spreading. Sai, good morning to you. Yo, good morning. Shout out to Ty for mixing it up this weekend for the race against racism.
Hey,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Jen says, we're trying to figure out how to support the teacher who's getting death threats. The drag queens have been apparently too. Dante, good morning to you. And Jen says,
who's doing the death threats?
And then Jen says, listen, I took a deep breath when one of my colleagues said we need to be prepared for when there's 3 R branches of the state government and how schools at all are going to be gutted, and I haven't stopped thinking about it yet.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Much like when Corbett. No, Jen. That is all right. You are our resident expert on this. So yes, we go to the experts. On this.
I was gonna say it sounds like a short little skit. The school district board member heard a rumor and they're like up all night and their eyes are red and they're trying to sleep. They just have a thought of some foolishness happening. They're like, I gotta do something. I feel like that's you, Jen. gotta do something.
Well, I think that before we go to our next story, I really think that there needs to be that same energy. The same energy that is opposing it has to be the same energy supporting it, and the same energy supporting it may need to be a little bit more over the top than the energy against it.
Like Lancaster City, I think it might be time to let's get ourselves out there and support our LGBTQIA community in Hempfield because they come to the city to see us.
Yes.
They come to the city to see all of us, and we need to show them some support where they need it, and they deserve it. They don't deserve to be excoriated for this.
Right.
They got permission. They did everything they needed to do to show up to that school and perform.
Occupy Hempfield.
And don't use religion as a crutch. If you are a religious person and you believe in equality for all, then support. Support it. Don't be so closed-minded.
Right. And I'll say this. Folks, protests don't know city limits.
Right.
I'm just saying. So if these kids need our support,
if you can be in Millersville and care, you can be in Lancaster City and care.
Right. Absolutely. So get active, get involved, and let our voices be heard. Because if this administrator sees any kind of suspension or any kind of firing, it's all for show, and then we should show out. Just saying. Let's get to these comments. LaRock says, sounds like racism. And then Jen says, sometimes I come home from our school board meetings and then turn on theirs because I am so devastated by what's happening. It's disgusting. And then LaRock says, supporting black people would transfer to support for every other so-called marginalized group. And then Jen says, I started paying attention last summer after going to their school board meeting to not exclude transgender athletes from participating in sports. Yes, folks, we're going to keep our finger on the pulse of this story. Lady L is actually working on contacting the administrator that has been placed on administrative leave so that we can bring that story to you firsthand and do like we do, bringing you the news, baby, doing this thing like we're doing it for TV. So, Sarge, what you got for us for our next story?
All right. Well, we're going to stick around in PA for a little bit, and we're going to talk about this algorithm that screens for child neglect that has been raising concerns. Well, the job is never easy, but in the past, Robin Frank, an attorney, she knew what she was up against when squaring off against Child Protective Services and family court. Now she worries she's fighting something she can't see, an opaque algorithm whose statistically calculations help social workers decide which family should be investigated in the first place. A lot of people don't even know that it's being used. Families should have the right to have all the information in their file. From Los Angeles to Colorado and throughout Oregon, as child welfare agencies use or consider tools similar to the one in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, an Associated Press review has identified a number of concerns about the technology, including questions about its reliability and its potential to harden racial disparities in the child welfare system. Related issues have already torpedoed some jurisdictions' plans to use predictive models, such as the tool notably dropped by the state of Illinois. According to this new research from the Carnegie Mellon University team, obtained exclusively, Allegheny's algorithm is its first years of operation showed a pattern of flagging a disproportionate number of black children for a mandatory neglect investigation when compared with white children. The independent researchers who received data from the county also found that the social workers disagreed with the risk scores the algorithm produced about 1/3 of the time. County officials said that social workers can always override the tool and called the research hypothetical. Child welfare officials in Allegheny County, the cradle of Mr. Rogers' TV neighborhood, and the icon Child-Centric Innovations says the cutting-edge tool, which is capturing attention around the country, uses data to support agency workers as they try to protect children from neglect. The nuanced term can include everything from inadequate housing to poor hygiene, but it is a different category from physical or sexual abuse, which is investigated separately in Pennsylvania and is not subject to algorithm. Workers, whoever they are, shouldn't be asked to make, in a given year, 14, 15, 16,000 of these kinds of decisions with incredibly imperfect information, said Aaron Dalton, director of the county's Department of Human Services and a pioneer in implementing the predictive child welfare algorithm. how do you create something that you can ask as many questions as you want to kids? Like, there's always different mitigating factors, always different factors. You know, different things that happen, like different involvements. Like, just people. A kid can wear messy clothes. He can be a messy kid. Doesn't mean necessarily the kid's not being taken care of. The kid's dirt. You know, the kid's parents don't love him, and he's living in a bad place. You know, go ahead before I continue.
Video.
All right, so
Yeah, you're our resident. This is all you,
right?
Not my story. So here's the thing, right? And we already know this, but with artificial intelligence, what you have to do with it is that you have to pre-program it. So what do you pre-program it with? You pre-program it with data and statistics that you already have. Unfortunately, what do we know about data and statistics? They're generally disproportionate to minority communities. In general, just no matter what it is, it's going to be jacked up. And so in general, if you put in all of these faulty information and racism and all that type of stuff, if you put all of this stuff into the AI, and then you say, all right, AI, do your thing, the AI is going to spit out the same kind of stuff that the people who programmed it to spit out, right? And so that's the first thing right there. Like, in general, if you're going to be programming a computer, an AI with information, you should be plugging it up with the correct information. And that's what people aren't thinking about. They're just like, oh, this is just what it is. We're putting it in here. But it's like, and then the AI is going to continue to perpetuate that. So here's the thing. Critics say that it gives a program power by data, mostly collected, about poor people, an outsized role in deciding families' fates. And they warn against local officials' growing reliance on artificial intelligence tools. And that's really unfortunate because people say, oh, well, it's a computer. It's a computer. I promise you the computers are only as smart as the people who program them. It's just a tool. It means nothing if a person doesn't actually put anything in there, right? You go out there, you buy a laptop. What's on the laptop? Absolutely nothing. There's nothing on the laptop. You have to install the information onto the laptop that you wanted to know that you wanted to do. And that's what we're seeing here with this AI. You're plugging in information, and then you're saying, oh, we're surprised that it's doing these disproportionate things to colored people and poor people. We can't believe it. But if for generations you have been disproportionately impacting poor people, black and brown people, and doing those things, why would then the artificial intelligence change up what you've been doing for generations? It's only going to continue to do what you've taught it to do. So here's the thing. Because family court hearings are closed to the public and the records are sealed, you're not able to identify who the algorithm actually recommends to be mandatorily investigated for child neglect. That's a whole situation right there. So then that means that, guess what? The families don't even know that it was a computer that said, oh yeah, you should investigate this family. That doesn't make any sense. So now here's the thing. Last time I was in child welfare, we did our risk assessments by hand. You did your risk assessment by hand. You showed up at the house. You looked at the house. You looked at the baby. You went into all the different rooms in the house. You went into the basement. You went upstairs, and then you gave an assessment. That's what you did. And it's very different having a person do an assessment, because guess what? As a black woman, if I go into a house for neglect and somebody says, oh yeah, I beat my child, I'm hearing something different than Susie Q over here, you know, who grew up, who's a non-black person, who might hear, oh yeah, I beat my child. They might hear something different than what I'm hearing, which is why cultural competency is extremely important. And the AI doesn't even understand that. But neither did the person who programmed it. Over to the desk.
Well, clearly, Lady L's voice is back.
Right? Let's go.
So much to say.
If you did not realize it, the one thing that I wanted to point out before we kick it back to Sarge is that this just isn't being used in Pennsylvania. The origin story is in Pennsylvania, but from Los Angeles to Colorado and throughout Oregon, as child welfare agencies use or consider tools similar to the one in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, an Associated Press review has identified a number of concerns about the technology, including questions about its reliability and its potential to harden racial disparities in the child welfare system. Like, the thing is that, like, it's not being not used. And that's the most alarming thing about this. It's like, hey, we know that we're using this flawed system, and this flawed system is racist, but because we don't have anything else to replace flawed system, we're still going to use this flawed system until we figure it out. Because, you know, it's racist, but it's not that bad.
Racist.
Right.
Plus,
right.
I mean, we need to do something until we can figure out
I
that
mean,
being
but
racist.
it doesn't matter because who's being impacted?
Exactly.
We know that most of the child welfare cases are impacting black and brown families.
Yeah, so there's no
rush.
Cause
Right.
to, no cause to rush.
Right, and honestly, when you think about it, the system's already set up to believe that black people are less capable of raising their children and things of that nature. So the institution itself believes that it's doing a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part. Which is why we've transitioned into child welfare to keep kids in the home, to keep them with family members through the 5th degree of consanguinity, right? So that's the work that people are going to the lengths now to keep kids with familial ties, instead of just sending them into foster care directly.
Let me get to these comments. Good morning to y'all. Y'all are spitting this morning. LaRock says, nope. George says, these are the same people who didn't want the word condom mentioned in school while AIDS and STDs were rampant. They suggested handing out Bibles instead. Yes, because the Bible pages will protect you from STDs. Jen says, I don't even know how to talk about algorithms, LOL. LaRock says, folks will go long and hard for everybody's right and safety except for when it comes to black folks. Black liberation is LGBTQ, TQIA plus liberation. The sooner we figure that out and live by it, the sooner all of this crap will be over. Folks coalesce around the personal issues, not the broad issues, then wonder why they're going through some semblance of circumstance that has been affected on someone else.
Put that on a shirt.
Jen says surveillance, and says you know what to look for. George says algorithms can be manipulated the same way statistics can be. A computer can only work with what you put in it. Absolutely. And then says, which is why we say the system is doing what it is designed to do. And LaRock finishes, it says, exactly, George. Let's not act like these computers act autonomously. They can only do what we make them do. This really reminds me of like when the Xbox Connect came out. And there were problems with the Connect identifying black people. Like, did the developers not think like, hey, we have this sophisticated machine here, let's try to include everybody.
Black people can't afford this machine.
Like,
it's
that's
a
just
$500 machine. Black people ain't gonna get it, so we don't need to make sure that it can read their bodies.
Yeah.
Or if you were light enough, then you were all good. There was that too.
Yeah, and folks, with this, it says again, according to new research from a Carnegie Mellon University team, Allegheny's algorithm in its first years of operation showed a pattern of flagging a disproportionate number of black children for a mandatory neglect investigation when compared with white children. The independent researchers who received data from the county also found that social workers disagreed with the risk scores the algorithm produced about 1/3 of the time. So in every 3 reports, one person disagreed. Like that is insane. That should have told you right then and there. If the people that the system is supposed to help, the social workers, if 1/3 of them are saying, yeah, this ain't it, maybe you should kind of fix it up. Go ahead, Sarge.
Well, look, the algorithm screening tool is designed to predict the risk that a child will be placed into foster care in the 2 years after it. So they use a trove of detailed personal data. They collected it from birth, from Medicaid, from substance abuse, mental health, jail and probation records, and among other government data sets. The algorithm calculates a risk score of 1 to 20. The higher the number, the greater the risk. So, given the high stakes, skipping a report of neglect could end with a child's death, but scrutinizing a family's life could set them up for separation. The county and developers have suggested their tool can help course correct and make the agency's work more thorough and efficient by weeding out meritless reports so that social workers can focus on children who truly need protection. The developers have described using such tools as moral imperative, saying child welfare officials should use whatever they have at their disposal to make sure children aren't neglected. There are children in our communities who need protection, said Emily Putnam Hornstein, professor at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill's School of Social Work, who helped develop the Allegheny tool, speaking at a virtual panel. They're saying the algorithms and other predictive technologies also provide a scientific check on call center workers' personal biases because they see the risk score when deciding if the case merits an investigation. And if the case is escalated, the full investigation is carried out by a different social worker who probes in person and decides if the allegations are true and help determine if the children should be placed in foster care.
And see, the thing about it is, what about that white kid in the suburbs with a drunk dad who looks the part, right, and goes to school, gets good grades, but goes home and gets that
and gets his head knocked off
for 18 years, right? And it goes unaddressed, unacknowledged. This algorithm wouldn't even see that.
It wouldn't, and it would also have an excuse for dad and be like, "Oh, well, Jim is stressed.
Jim works Jim works a 12-hour job,
right? So here's the thing: with other states such as Oregon, they are currently preparing. They're preparing to hire its 8th new child welfare director in 6 years.
Sheesh.
Explored the last 4 other algorithms while the agency was under scrutiny by a crisis oversight board ordered by the governor. So here's the thing. It seems like states are trying to use this algorithm, but the algorithm is not actually supporting them to do their jobs even better. That is the most asinine thing about it. Like, you're using this tool, and yet you see that it's not actually working well, and yet you're still using it. Right? Like, you're on your 8th child welfare director in 6 years? Since you started using this tool, people have been leaving that position left and right, which is a red flag that shows that what you're using is BS, and the person who's in power doesn't even have any control to say that this is BS. So what do? They're leaving the job. And not only that, so there's a pilot algorithm built to help decide when foster care children can be reunified with their families. First of all, why aren't you starting back with visits? Why are you waiting for a computer to tell you, okay, it's about time? First of all, as soon as you place that child, you need to be talking about reunification. At the moment that you're thinking that you may need to take the child out of the home, you ought to be thinking about, well, how am I going to get this child back home? Or how am I going to get this child adopted? Right? Because this child needs to be in a stable environment for the next, 13 years.
Yep.
And they can't be jumping home to home in 13 years. Have you seen what happens to some of these children?
You can't take the humanity out of the process.
I've had young people in foster care that would rather sleep on SEPTA trains, that would rather sleep underground in the underpass of the city than go to their foster parents' house. The foster parent. Come on now. Go ahead, Sarge.
Look, there's a county social worker also said that despite the county describes a safeguard, that an expert who worked for Allegheny Contractor says there's still cause for concern. Talking about what you said, Keith, when you have technology designed by humans, the bias is going to show up in the algorithms. Said Nicole Biddle, who has worked for nearly a decade in child welfare, including a family therapist and foster care placement specialist in Allegheny County. She said if they designed a perfect tool, it really doesn't matter because it's designed from a very imperfect data system. So like all this data you have is still imperfect, and it doesn't account for everything. The researchers found that the percentage of black families investigated was 32.5% of black children who reported as being neglected, and then there were 20.8% of white children. Like, these numbers, they're flawed.
Yep.
Like if one third of social workers are looking at it and shutting stuff down, saying it's wrong. Then hey, try something different.
Right. And before we go to our next story, it says child welfare agencies in at least 26 states in Washington, D.C. has considered using algorithmic tools, and at least 11 have deployed them. And this is according to the ACLU. So advocates worry that if similar tools are used in other child welfare systems with minimal or no human intervention, akin to how algorithms have been used to make decisions in the criminal justice system, they could reinforce existing racial disparities in the child welfare system. And that's what brings me to the algorithms that our criminal justice system uses, and how that just exacerbates black and brown bodies in the system and in this rigmarole of prison and jail.
So I don't know, just hearing you say it like systems, algorithms, it feels like we're taking the humanity out of jobs that need human focus.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we're putting it in the responsibility of these systems and these algorithms to determine what happens to people. And people have stories, people have backgrounds and issues and extenuating circumstances that contribute to their current situation. We can't leave it up to the system. We can't leave it up to the algorithm. We have to continue to put people where humanity needs to be.
Right. I would love for the people that are making these algorithms and making these decisions. Let's apply the algorithms to important parts of their lives and see how they take to that. Kat says no, because the creators of these systems were probably white men with biases which went unchecked and unaddressed. That part. Jen says, reminds me of how third grade math scores were used to calculate prison beds. That's exactly what they did with Yick when it was called Barnes Hall. They exact same thing. But in Lancaster, they looked at fourth grade.
And now they can't even keep the beds full and had to close down half of the building.
Well, it's always been like that. I worked there in the early 2000s. It's always been a half-empty building, which is ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Then they shouldn't have, grew it.
They literally bring people in from Reading, Philly, York, Harrisburg, kids to go into the Yick.
Just to feel it. Jen says they're cutting corners, and it shows. George said, I would imagine the algorithm used to determine credit risk for some people is a real mother for you.
Oh, yeah.
That part, yeah. LaRock says, what we have to be worried about is the perspective of neglect. The traditionally excluded, who have to work 10 to 16 hours a day to make ends meet, have to train their children to be mature enough to take care of themselves, and siblings at an age that may not be personally acceptable to CYS workers. There is no minimum age to leave your child at home alone, but the guidance says they should be at least 12 to leave with younger children over 5. Depending on your culture and sociology, economic upbringing, you may not have the opportunity to be coddled until you're 25. You preaching today, Pastor. Go on ahead. Aunt Laura, good morning. She says half of these kids are treated worse in the foster homes than in their own homes, and nobody cares that works for the system. Yo, we have a story on that. In our magazine this month, an interview with Brother Isaac Etter tells us all about the foster home issues, the adoptive parents issues, and the cultural happenstances that happens with that. Kat says this whole concept is problematic. Kids living in poverty have a higher risk of experiencing adverse childhood experiences, but this is not because parents in poverty abuse their kids. It's usually because they lack the support and resources they need. So if we're going to study why that is, we have to present solutions to alleviate the stresses these kids are facing way too early. You can't talk about socioeconomic status, ACEs, and poverty without racism too. So unfortunately for the people making these policies, they have to address all of those. I would love to just sit at a LaRock and Cat dinner.
Yo, I was saying that same thing. Like, yo, what do they talk about at home?
It's
probably a bevy of information.
like, yo, they probably go to bed like, baby, you had me at F the system. Straight up. Jen says, can we use the algorithm to identify bullies and racists?
If you let us make it.
Right.
That's the thing. Where's the market for it, and who's going to buy this? Jen, after we develop this algorithm, who's going to buy it?
Right.
Bank of America? Wells Fargo?
LaRock says, I was a latchkey kid from K through 12, and after 5th grade, had to take care of my brother, who was almost 7 years younger. White people would say I was neglected, but they don't know how or what training my folks put me through.
Big facts.
Yo, to that part, LaRock, I was a latchkey kid as well.
Same.
And 6 years older than my sister, and when we came home, I had to hold it down until my mom came home. Oddly enough, yeah, that would have been looked at as neglect. Oddly enough, my mom was a probation officer working for the city.
Right. Who kept her at work, knowing she had kids, right? Like, where's the city's responsibility in that, right?
And that's why that's the joke in social services, that we're going to lose our own kids.
Trying to save somebody else.
Yeah, my mom worked for the city.
So
meetings with the mayor.
Yeah.
I'm at home after school with my little brothers and sisters. Hey,
Right.
all right, let's clean up.
Yeah.
You won't get beat. You didn't do your chores.
Which I think is very strange, because I think now, since we have a family business and an enterprise, I think for us it's more like, let's bring the kids. Right? Yeah. But we're also creating a lifestyle for ourselves where we've seen this happen in our generations before. So we're saying, okay, well, what can we do to alleviate that, since now we're the parents?
Right.
What can we do? Right? Because what are we doing with our wisdom over the years and that we've grown up with?
What did we learn to do better with? Right. Love it.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we're going to move this party on to our next story. We keeping it in Pennsylvania, and we keeping it gay. Let's take it to the next story. Students and parents in the Chambersburg area school district want the district to make public why it painted over a particularly completed student mural at the high school that featured an LGBTQ plus pride flag. That's right. Chambersburg area school district has painted over a partially completed student mural at the high school. However, neither the Chambersburg school district superintendent nor the board president would confirm to a reporter at the meeting why the mural had been painted over and on whose instruction. According to multiple people involved, including student artists, the mural was approved by Chambersburg area senior high school principal Brad Oker and was partially completed as of last Friday. According to Heather, the student's mother, the principal told her the mural had been covered on the instruction of the superintendent due to the political concerns and assertion made by several others with knowledge of the matter. All right, so the principal said he was told by the superintendent that the district needs to remain neutral on political and religious matters. Heather, the mother, says that her son told her the art teacher solicited students for new mural ideas earlier this year, and he and another student presented designs. The second student's work was also painted over at the same time, although the mom says that she was told by the principal that it was an error and that only her son's work was to be concealed. Post on the Facebook page for the Franklin County chapter of Moms for Liberty, a conservative activist group, indicated that the group had been lobbying the school district to remove the mural. The superintendent did not explicitly state that the child's mural had violated any policy or what the policy was or who decided that a policy had been violated. Following the meeting, the superintendent refused to answer any questions, even yes or no inquiries, such as confirming whether he had instructed school staff to paint over the students' artwork. Several speakers noted that district schools have many murals depicting many different subjects, allowing students to express their various interests in the form of wall murals, and then putting the policy in doubt as those interests extend to LGBTQ rights. It sends a clear message to students. The student who actually did the mural was joined by several classmates who said they regularly face harassment over their sexuality. One student even went on to say, I've gone through school being called horrible things because I love outside of the normal society views. While the majority of the roughly 30-something people who were in support of the student mural, a handful were opposed with different opinions stemming from the residents who believe the LGBTQ plus flag was too controversial. Well, there you have it, guys. And we are sticking in Central PA, Chambersburg Area School District. The high school has painted over a student mural depicting the LGBTQ plus flag. And they weren't even given a heads up, which is totally unfortunately. Please drop your comments down in the comment section for us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I think it's something they're doing it across other things they're doing across the United States. You know, it's a whole group work. This is a whole group effort. Like these are organized. I want to say organized terrorists, organized terroristas.
Yeah.
You know, so they should have taught. Why tell them they can do it and then just to take it down? Why to continue to ignore? Like, hey, we're in a high school. You know, like some people know their sexuality in high school. Like some people, you know, wherever they're at. Like, why shouldn't they feel accepted? Some people, like, why is a flag so offending? Why does that make you feel so little? A flag. What it means, what that flag means, why does that hurt you so much that you have to destroy, that you try to do it when no one's around? You know, you think you can just sweep it under the rug, like, oh, whatever. These kids don't have to say. They can't say anything. Like, we're seeing more people worried about what's going on in schools than they've ever been. You know, prior to all this stuff happening, people weren't trying to give teachers money. People weren't, hey, how can we give you guys everything you need? You know, what if there was all this support way back then?
Right.
You know, they weren't real quick to jump on the negative, not on the positive.
About to get on my
high horse.
Stephen A. here real quick. You know, This is utterly despicable. But more so, I'm not going to look at the actions of those people that cover this up, because I mean, when a duck quacks, we don't get surprised. So when a Republican makes an act against a black or brown person, or one of our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters, we should not. Our response from here on out, from 2022 on, should not be surprise, but should be that of clapping back. Like as soon as that mural has been covered up, there should have been troves of people outside, or somebody make a mural right in front of the school. Like, there needs to be energy matched, if not overmatched, with this group, because now what we're seeing this deterioration of our culture. You know, this culture of acceptance that we were moving to, that I would like to say started in the 90s. I'm younger, so I'm going to say that. If you disagree, disagree. But that started in the 90s, and it feels like we're backtracking because there's people that feel like, oh, America is under attack. We need to bring our country back. Again, just as much as there's this vitriol and vigor to try to cover up and quiet black and brown people and the LGBTQ plus community, we need to match that energy. So when, again, this happens, whether it's Hempfield, whether it's Chambersburg, there needs to be troves of people reacting so that the next person that tries to do this thinks once, thinks twice, thinks thrice. That, you know what, if I make this decision, then there's going to be a bunch of people outside of my office, and I don't want that smoke. when people feel as though that they can make decisions in a silo, they're going to do it and continuously do it, especially when they feel emboldened and supported. So what I say is, cut the snake off at the head. Like, as soon as this happens, 2 years ago, we seen a whole summer of protesting, people traveling from city to city to city to get messages done, to get things done for their city. That energy should not have stopped. It should not have stopped, and it shouldn't, because that energy got our chief out here and got a black chief in here, amongst other things.
We got to be better at organizing.
Right.
We got to be better at organizing.
Exactly. So I say, and this goes for Central Pennsylvania and beyond. When this stuff happens, we need to organize ourselves and make sure that the next person that even thinks about doing this, they're going to double think, because they don't want the smoke.
I'm saying, like, if we're going to do it, we have to be good about it, because we don't want to wind up with, hey, I'll show you protest, police brutality. They'll go, okay, $1 million bail.
Right.
Yep.
You know, we gotta have to follow through. When you have to follow through, hey, you can hold people accountable.
Right. Lady L.
So here's the thing. You ask students to participate in the thing. You tell students that they're safe here.
Yep.
We need to make sure that we are backing that up. Right? We are backing that up. If you're going to have, any kind of student groups or alliances or murals or activities, you need to make sure that the protections are in place so that student doesn't feel attacked, right? So you, art teacher, you went out there, you solicited students for their work, you said, oh, this is riveting here, you get to put your stuff up, right? And now this student has to deal with all of those conflicting emotions. And what this actually says about the student and who they are as a person and the validity of their humanity. Right? Like if I see this as a part of myself and I'm painting myself on this wall and you cover it up, what are you saying about me?
Right. Cover yourself up. Hide. You don't deserve to be seen or heard here.
Right. At least right here. Here isn't the place. The school is no longer the place. Don't ask questions about sex or sexuality or gender or anything like that, because that is not allowed in a place, in an institution that's supposed to be for education, right? Those murals had the opportunity to bring up conversations, not just amongst students and each other, but amongst the adults that are going to be going to and fro from the building. I love going to my children's school and seeing all the paintings on the walls and be able to take a moment and revel in it, right? So then what about that, to have some student paintings and then to have them covered up? You're pretty much saying like, oh, well, you're a good artist, but your art isn't good enough here. Your art isn't welcomed here. How you view the world isn't welcomed here. But then you want to tell students to participate in class dialogue.
Right.
You clearly just told me to STFU by covering up. Let's say the students that it's not even their painting, but students that could identify with that painting. You too have also told them to be quiet. You too have told them to hush up and to cover up. That's what you've done by covering up this painting, Chambersburg Area School District. Over to the desk.
But I'm pretty sure if it was a ripped Paul Bunyan with a MAGA hat and a Confederate T-shirt.
First of all, you'll get in trouble if you put gum under the desk at school. That is considered destruction of school property. You can get suspended. You drawing on the desk with colored pencil or marker, you can get suspended. Might even get a fine because they want you to replace the old desk that you colored on. But you cover up a painting that you asked me to do, that you solicited me for.
You even let me finish it though. You let me get all started, get all worked up. Then you let me finish it.
It's tough.
To the comments. Rebecca says, comunista Karenista. I love that. Jen says, because indoctrination. These kids need safe spaces. Exactly. Kirsten says, the same crusty crusaders who fight to have racist flag flying outside of their homes are the same one doing like covering a kid's mural. That part. Now, good morning to you. Rebecca says, this hateful adults needs to just sit down and shut up. New Gary mural put up over it. Yes, absolutely. Like an orgy. Jen says, Chambersburg is Mastriano territory per your upcoming story. Yeah. And that story is actually next. Kat says, these kids and adults obviously feel unsafe, unheard, and unprotected. I can't blame them for how they have or haven't reacted to more hate crimes. And it says the kids should have been better organized, but their kids being hate crimes, confused. And then Jen says literal and figurative erasure. And then LaRock says clapping back, really. Let's not gaslight folks like folks are really about that life. Folks don't even stand up for the blatant wrongs being done. In fact, folks cozy up to the wrongdoers. It's only been 2 years since 2020, and 98% of folks fell off, and it's back to normal. It's funny as hell to hear this right now. And then Corinne says, yes, every child needs protected in their school, no matter how differently that school thinks or feels. Protect our children, all of them. And then LaRock says, why are looking for folks to stand up for people they aren't even willing to uplift? Ain't nobody risking their ish for nobody else. Ish they ain't even willing to sacrifice for themselves. LaRock, who pissed in your Cheerios this morning?
That's salty, bro.
Man, I dig the outlook. I dig the outlook. Dig where you're coming from. But I will push back a little bit because when I see people like yourself, when I see people like a cat, even when I see people like a Jess, and a bunch of other folks that were down there during those times, like that activated a lot of people.
I was gonna.
That act like yes, it may not look exactly like yours, LaRock, but when I look at you and your story, you're somebody that has used that as a jump off point. When I look at TCP, yes, TCP existed well before then, but that was also a jump off point for TCP to be the voice of the voiceless in this area. When I look at other organizations, when I look at Kirsten, when I look at Safe House, when I look at Isaac, like there has been so much that has evolved from that situation. When I look at people that ran for school board, you know what I mean? When I look at people that ran for office, like Xavier, like those are the things. Those are the things that I'm looking at that blossomed from this. Like, is everybody, in the same position and predicament that they were in, 2 years ago? No. Should we have more? Absolutely. But let's not spit in the face of progress, because there's a bunch of people that,
that
use
risk
that.
of when you say nobody's risking anything.
But you got it.
What do you think we do every day? Do you think that, like, I'm sorry, like, you don't think this is a risk every day? The things we talk about? You don't think it puts a target on our backs?
I hear what y'all saying, but you got to look at LaRock, who, like you said, y'all, we're still currently doing the work. LaRock's still currently doing the work.
Oh, definitely.
But the size of the voice in the room is so much smaller.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I completely understand what he's saying. He's tired, fam. He's working hard. He's out here, showing up to multiple things a week.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's only him and Jess and Kat and their crew that shows up. We come and show up and support. But honestly, he's tired, and I hear you, bro. I hear you, Keep going. You got love, you got support out here, and all we can do is try to organize behind you, fam. All we can do is try to organize behind you. I believe in you, and keep going, man.
Yeah. Lady L.
All right. So LaRock says Negroes
man.
be whispering, period, and then he continues to say that, Ty.
You're funny.
All right. And then says,
We'll talk face to face. I like them talks better.
You act like I'm not in many rooms. I never speak from one angle. Nobody is saying that you're not in many rooms. You know what we're saying that is that energy that energy that was 2 years ago. You know, there's still folks out here that are doing the work. There are still folks out here doing the work. Does it look like as many folks as it is back then?
Definitely doesn't.
No, not at all. But again, you know, we can't spit in the face,
right, of the progress that was made.
Exactly, because
I can agree with both
because
sides.
where Lancaster is now.
Wouldn't be if LaRock wasn't carrying that torch.
Lancaster wasn't here, and not just LaRock, but
Jess,
all
right,
those
the mayor,
people that
the new
were
police
out
chief.
there. You know, like first of all, that hasn't happened in Lancaster since the Rocky Springs incident back in the 40s and 50s.
Way back when.
Right. Might have been the 60s. Excuse me. Might have been the 60s. The fact that happened in front of the police station. And then there was this whole wave of energy that went from county to county to county to county to county. You can't put that back in a box. Like it's out now.
The monkey's out of the bottle now, man.
It's out now. You know, LaRock, I see that you have a glass half empty approach, you know, but we'll talk. We will talk. We will talk because there's a lot more than the performative stuff that has going on. I'm not saying that it's all perfect, but there's definitely a shift. There's definitely a change. So talking about shifts and changes, folks. Evidence mounts of GOP plotting in Trump's election scheme. So, folks, we're going to peel the layers back of what happened, of what we are discovering happened on January 6th. So, it appears that a significant number of House members and a few senators had more than just a passing role in what went on January 6th. Since launching its investigation last summer, the January 6th panel has been slowly gaining new details about what lawmakers said and did in the weeks before the insurrection. Members have asked 3 GOP lawmakers, Jordan of Ohio, Rep. Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy of California to testify voluntarily. All have refused. Other lawmakers could be called in the coming days. So far, the January 6th committee has refrained from issuing subpoenas to lawmakers, fearing the repercussions of such an extraordinary step. But the lack of cooperation from lawmakers hasn't prevented the panel from obtaining new information. So, in early December 2020, several lawmakers attended a meeting in the White House counsel's office where attorneys for the president advised them that a plan to put up an alternative slate of electors during Trump, the winner, was not legally sound. One lawmaker, our lawmaker, Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, pushed back on that position. So did GOP Reps Matt Gaetz of Florida and Louis Gohmert of Texas, according to testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson, a former special assistant in the Trump White House. Despite the warning from counsel's office, Trump allies moved forward on December 4, 2020, as rightly chosen Democratic electors in 7 states met at their seat of state government to cast their votes. The fake electors gathered as well. They declared themselves the rightful electors and submitted false electoral college certificates declaring Trump the true winner of the presidential election in the states. Those certificates from the alternative electors were then sent to Congress, where they were ignored. The majority of the lawmakers have since denied their involvement in these efforts. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia testified in a hearing in April that she does not recall conversations she had with the White House or texts she sent to Meadows about Trump invoking martial law. Gomer told AP he also does not recall being involved and that he is not sure he could be helpful to the committee's investigation. Representative Jody Heiss of Georgia downplayed his actions, saying it is routine for members of the president's party to be going in and out of the White House to speak about a number of topics. Heiss is now running for Secretary of State in Georgia, a position responsible for the state's elections. So, less than a week after the early December meeting at the White House, another plan emerged. In a meeting with White House Freedom Caucus members and Trump White House officials, the discuss turned to the decisive action they believe that Pence could take on January 6th. Those in attendance virtually and in person, according to committee testimony, were Heiss, Biggs, Gosar, Representative Perry, Gates, Jordan Gomer, Mo Brooks of Alabama, Debbie Lesko of Arizona, and Green, then a congresswoman-elect. What was the conversation like? The committee asked Hutchinson, who was frequently present in the meetings. They felt they had the authority to, pardon me, if my phrasing is incorrect on this, but send votes back to the states or the electors back to the states. When asked if any of the lawmakers disagreed with the idea that the vice president had such authority, Hutchinson said there was no objection from any of the Republican lawmakers. In another meeting about Pence's potential role, Trump lawyers Rudy Giuliani and others were joined again by Perry and Jordan as well as Green. Communication between lawmakers and the White House didn't let up as January 6th grew closer. So, folks, our representative who represents our area, this is disheartening, but also we have to keep our head on a swivel, and we have to be active, civically active, because we again, just like we're seeing the deterioration with what we were talking about before, we're seeing another deterioration now with our democracy. And what I'm really fearing is that we have a situation where we have our own dictator for a couple years. Like I'm not as confident in the structure of America that I once was. Straight up. Sorry.
Listen, the Republican House leader, Kevin McCarthy, when January 6th first happened, he feared the aftermath of it. He said he's going to reel in these far-right people. He was going to talk to them and make it happen, and he wasn't supporting them like he is now. Because remember that vote was so critical to have that impeachment vote right then and there to really talk about, let's have this vote. Let's vote on what's going on. And they did not let it pass. All right. Mr. McCarthy, he didn't follow through on his sterner steps. He said some Republicans encouraged him to take. Like, he was being urged by other Republicans to not do this, to not solidify this election. We talk about snowflakes, biggest snowflakes of them all. Like, it was planned from the inside out. Yep. It was a coup. Yeah. Like, this is treason.
Yes.
And as a soldier, like, if you serve this country, then you feel the same way I feel. You get upset. You get a little pissed off about this because you take the oath to fight against enemies, both foreign and domestic, no matter what. And then you're left to deal with the aftermath of this and look at it and judge it like it's not what it is. Like, there's go ahead.
Lady L.
It's all good because y'all going to go out there and vote, right?
Yeah.
It's all good. It's going to be fixed. What I think is most interesting is that this then becomes my frustration with lawmakers and government because they all seem to all be sleeping in bed together. And what I mean by that is, let's take this out. Since launching its investigation last summer, the January 6th panel has been slowly gaining new details about what lawmakers said and did in the weeks before the insurrection. Members have asked 3 GOP lawmakers to testify voluntarily. All have refused. Other lawmakers could be called in coming days. How do you refuse? Isn't this a part of your job? And like somebody just said, this is treason. I don't understand why the military ain't go knock on somebody's door and yank you out of your house. I don't understand that, right? But God forbid I go out and talk about some Black Lives Matter and see if I don't get yanked up off the street. But these people work to dismantle the American government, and they still have their jobs and they still have their freedom. But it's okay, because when we go out there and vote, it'll be fixed. Over to the desk.
I'm thinking about when we went down to Washington D.C. for Nan's for Nan's rally, and we went down there the night before, and how there were boarded up buildings, police presence everywhere.
Right, there was like a barricade. You couldn't drive your car so close to the Capitol.
Right,
building.
and that was the day before, and then the day of, like, there was just more of a police presence, and then I think about January 6th, and I'm like, if there was a rally, a get off our necks rally, why was there so much of, I know why. This is just a rhetorical question. Why was there so much of a police presence and boarded up buildings then, but when there were angry people descending on the city because of a decision that was made democratically, and they were clearly upset, why wasn't there that, same type of energy? Again, just a rhetorical question, but I believe that attitude, that ignorance, more so that arrogance, that a lot of our lawmakers have, and our law enforcement has, I think that's what's going to be the detriment of our democracy, because we keep on giving excuses, whether it's mental health, whether it's lone wolf, whether it's a bad day. We keep on giving these excuses to the point that we're going to put ourselves in a corner where we can't excuse anything else.
Even to the point where they say misinformation. Like, no, these people, they're intended actors. They're doing something they want to do.
They're terrorists.
Who cares about the misinformation part? Don't excuse the behavior by saying, well, they're getting bad information. No, they're making decisions.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's going to keep on happening because we have GOP candidates running for this year's election coming in November that are saying, what? I'm backed by Trump.
Yeah.
I'm with Trump.
Yeah.
So even if we don't have Trump in office as president, there are still Trump trolls running for these positions, and that's just what it is. But it's okay, because we're going to go out there and vote. Primaries on May 17th, y'all. Over to the desk.
Trolling.
Yeah. I'm sorry, so go ahead.
No, that's it.
All right. Let's get to these comments before we get to our next story. Jen says these people tried to overthrow our government, and now they're trying to run for governor, etc. Yeah, which is just weird. It's just like they should be ostracized. Like, no, you tried to overthrow our government. Like, you're canceled for life. The fact that they're being embraced is insane.
Is it?
Yes. Jen says, and they may win because this is Pennsylvania. Yeah. I'm looking at houses in Maryland because I'm like, maybe we should move, because I really feel like Pennsylvania is just going to drop the whole pen and pick up the whole Tucky. George says, just like Trump, they will get away with this heinous behavior by simply saying no to our request to testify. As long as contempt of Congress charges have no teeth, it will continue. For Christ's sakes, we have a sitting Supreme Court justice married to an open, big lie proponent as well as an insurrectionist. Yeah. And Jen says they will overturn elections. They will prevent people from voting. These are domestic terrorists. And after they focused on January 6th, they started focusing on the school boards and other places they can influence and local elections. Sabrina says, come on, Sarge. Not all servicemen and women see what happened January 6th as treason.
And that's the problem.
And Jen says, like a police state. And Sarge says, that's the problem. And Gary, Uncle Gary, what's going on? He says, I want to know Who was on the buses leaving from Spooky Nooks? Lancaster with Doug Mastrano's team. Was it Smucker? Was the National Day of Prayer Choir? I want to know every name because come election time, this ish should hit the fan.
Yes,
and
sir.
Kirsten says, if y'all leaving, I'm burning ish down.
There's the love.
Yes, love the love. So folks, we're going to keep it moving with TCP in the morning. Before we go to our next story, Lady L, can you tell the people about busy bodies?
Oh my goodness. So listen, I know y'all tired of them kids running around your house on the weekends, right? You ain't got nowhere to go, nowhere to take them. Take them over to Busybody's Play Cafe. All right, so not only is it an interactive play center, they even have like a little cafe situation where not only can you have your birthday parties there, but you can also just sit there as a mom. You can still have line of sight eyes on your baby and still have coffee or tea or a crimpet or whatever you got going on. They even have sofas in there so that you can chill. I mean, I really enjoy being at Busybody's Play Cafe. Go on ahead and visit them down at Rockville Outlets. All right, they are now open. But you got to get down there. They're also having an ice cream social happening May 23rd at 12 p.m. So get the kids on down to Busybody's Play Cafe, now open at the shops at Rockville. And tell them TCP sent you.
Awesome. Sarge.
All right, going into our next story. A black Texas student stopped going to class after being told to cut his locks. So, Diary Williams, a black high school student in Texas, he stopped attending class after being told that he had to cut his locks, according to CNN. The dress code policy at East Bernard High School states that braided hair or cornrows will not be allowed. Boys' hairs may not extend below the eyebrows, below the tops of ears, or below a conventional stand-up shirt collar, and must not be more than 1 inch difference in the length of his hair on the side of the length of the hair on top, the dress code states. For Williams, however, changing his style is not an option. Once you cut that hair off, you cut off your line to the ancestors, you cut off your lineage, you cut off everything. Williams' mother, Desiree Bullock, told CNN and said it's just not an option. They don't consider them dreadlocks because she doesn't dread them and they love them. The 17-year-old moved from Cincinnati, Ohio to East Bernard, located near Houston, in February. Since then, the family has been continually disputing the school's policy. The policy handbook is now removed from the district's website, but there is a copy that says the policy included restrictions against tall hairstyles, side swept bang styles, and long hair dangling over shaved sides or shaved back of the head. This also includes mullets and mullets in the making. The dress code also states braided hair or cornrows will not be allowed and no extreme in hairstyles. Bullock filed for a religious exemption on behalf of her son with the district superintendent. The request, however, was denied. The exemption request you filed has not been granted, and assuming the children can meet the dress code requirements as necessary paperwork for enrollment, they are welcome to try to enroll again or to try to get in again and contact the campus principal. The policy contains explicit gender discrimination that recent court decisions have found to be unconstitutional, and they violate it. And it also explicitly bans braided hair, twisted rows, or strands, which is a proxy for race discrimination and disproportionately harms black students in the district. Bullock said she is homeschooling Williams and his two sisters right now because Texas doesn't allow students to transfer to another school outside of the district where they have residency. The House took a step closer to banning hair-related discriminations in March, passing the Crown Act with a vote of 235 to 189. Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman introduced the Crown Act, which stands for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. And here we are standing on behalf of those individuals today. Whether my colleagues or the other side recognize it or not, who are discriminated against as children in school, as adults who are trying to get jobs, individuals who are trying to get housing, or individuals who simply want access to public accommodation and to be beneficiaries of federally funded programs. This is what Coleman said in front of lawmakers as this was passed. We're still having this fight.
At a public school.
Yes, at a public school, not even a private school. And it's not like the kid can go to a different school, transfer, go to another school. He can't do anything. He's stuck, so mom's making it work, homeschooling all of them. But you see how they moved from Ohio. Ohio, northern, we figure more progressive, more allowing, more lenient with the hairstyle.
Yeah.
So you go to Texas where they're all about banning CRT, banning everything,
Right.
And even hair, banning locks.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to put just a little bit of the responsibility on the parents here, and I'm just a little bit curious to know what led you to move to this town, and what research did you do on the town when you decided to move there? Right, so I know a lot of times people will move places because, I relocated and I got a job. Unfortunately, a lot of times these jobs, they hire people from different states, and they don't give them no information about the town, what's around, nothing. They just show up and they're like, all right, well, let's drive around, find a place to live at. But I am kind of curious to know, what was it like for that family? What was their research like before they moved out here and decided, okay, we're going to move in this house. That puts us in this neighborhood. Oh, I like that high school. That's why we're going to move on this side of town, right? Like, what went into that thought process? I'm really curious to know because, like Sarge, I believe you said, they've had the student handbook on the school's website. Mm-hmm. So you could have read that and seen that they were racist before you went down there. And could have already had something in order for yourself. Whether it's going to be homeschooling or doing virtual learning with the district or however that may have looked. I'm curious to know about that. So here's the thing. Mom tried. She tried. She definitely went to file for a religious exemption with the district superintendent. Doesn't matter. They denied it. And so here's the thing. They pretty much told Mom, assuming the child can meet the requirements, they are allowed to enroll. That's it. Follow the requirements, you're allowed to enroll. But please tell me how my hair is a part of the requirement. It grows out of my scalp. First of all, let me tell you something. My hair doesn't grow down. It grows up. It grows like the bush of a tree. It grows like the leaves. Like, it grows up. Like, just naturally out of my scalp. So for you to say no high looks, no this, but my hair grows naturally like that. Like literally, if I woke up, washed my head, and went to school, it's gonna be in the fro. But no, you want me to do what? You want me to risk my mental health? You want me to burn my scalp, to perm it, to straighten it, so that I can go to school and continue to be discriminated against because I had to disrespect myself just to come into this building? And I'm pretty sure those kids will continue to be disrespected once they get inside those doors by students and adults alike. How is it that you blatantly call for no braids, twist, or strands? Blatant. You might as well say no black people come here. Because first of all, as a black parent, you know what my go-to style is for my kids? Some braids. Some twists for the little ones, braids for the bigger ones. You're trying to tell me that there's a district that says, yeah, you're not welcome in school with your hair like that? What? Like I said, just say no black people allowed in our district would make more sense than playing these games with putting it in the fine print of what you're supposed to look like in a public school building. Child, please, y'all need to pull up at that school in Texas and let them know. Pull up. Over to the desk.
So it says Bullock said she is homeschooling Williams and his two sisters right now because Texas doesn't allow students to transfer to another school outside of the district where they have residencies. So
that's a Texas football law, clearly.
Yeah. I'm looking at this and I'm really thinking about, would it be more advantageous for black and brown people in this country to go the Amish route?
Yes.
To go the one room school type route,
yes,
and just have
our
own said curriculums and everything like that. Like, has it gotten to that point? Or are we even past that point? Because we're seeing this happen time and time again, and it's an open attack on our kids. You know, and this had me think about the fight that I had with my own hair with Lancaster Catholic. And as an adult, I'm like, yo, I'm 14, 15 years old arguing with grown adults over how my hair grows out of my head. And y'all are making it more than an issue than anybody else. Just because of some stereotypical way that you think that safe black people could look, because that's all it is. Because with the news industry, they do the same thing. As soon as you come in, if you have big hair, they want you to cut it. If you have braided hair, they want you to cut it. If you have waves, they want you to grow your hair out of waves. They want you to look so vanilla chocolate.
It's crazy to hear that
weird.
story.
Like, imagine a black man with a perm with like a little fro situation. I think is like the general okay black man look.
Yeah, but here's the thing: your fro can't be
right. I was gonna say it can't be high like a little like this.
It's a half.
Your hair has to be permed, and then
it's a half fro. You can only have a half fro, and then don't let you have any kind of facial hair or anything like that. Like it's different now. But it is all entrenched in this stereotypical way of how safe black people should look. Because what Lancaster Catholic didn't have, they didn't have anything for mohawks. It was black people's hairs and cover up your tattoos.
And they didn't I heard stories about kids wearing mirrors on shoes back then. There was nothing in the handbook about that.
I didn't see that.
No, Chris Lope, I'm not outing people. Outing people. My bad.
I didn't see it.
A certain friend who went to that school told me that was a behavior they engaged in to see what girls weren't wearing underwear.
I mean, for some people, they would use, walking up the steps. And the times when people would walk up the steps, they'd be like, oh my gosh, So like it's yeah.
You're not gonna require girls to wear underwear. But they're gonna take you cut your hair.
I remember one time, they had this whole like it was like they lined us up. It was a uniform check, and they did this a couple times. Lined us up, I don't know, like cattle really, and like a lineup. Look us up, down, everything like that. Pull up your pants. Let me see your socks. The girls had to get on their knees, and if if their skirt didn't drape over their knees when they were on their knees, their skirt was too short and everything. And it's like, did y'all think about how traumatic this was going to be? Like, to just see a row of girls just on their knees and like, did y'all think this through? And I'm really looking at this administration like, are y'all really, really, really thinking this through?
I was about to say, it was a Catholic school, and they got a whole lot of issues going on over there of making poor decisions. So, I mean, as an institution, they've made poor decisions. So, I mean, to say, it's completely appropriate to have 14 through 17-year-old girls on their knees to verify, like, what? Clearly, you're a group of people who make bad decisions. And this is unfortunate because with this particular article, we're not talking about a Catholic school. We're not talking about a private institution, first of all, that you're paying private funds into, right? We're talking about a public school where your tax dollars go into. We're talking about a public educational facility that by law is supposed to be accessible for all. But if you're telling me that I can't come in because of my hair, that doesn't seem like accessibility.
Right.
And it's crazy because mom even said, she was like, I feel really sick to my stomach. I feel like the district's hair policy needs to change. I feel like it's horrible, and it's only towards African-American children or people. Now, here's the thing, ma'am. This policy isn't new. This isn't new. The issue is that there are a number of black families who have already been there who have accepted what it is.
Yep.
And now here you come, your carpetbagger, trying to tell them that they need to change their policy when all the other black folks around here are okay with it.
Right. Sheesh.
And what the district said, as if you want to, if you in the district said it. Assuming the child can meet the requirements, they're welcome to enroll. And I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that they said to all them other black families who did what? Who are now perming, straightening, and torturing their babies in their heads so that they can accommodate what? Not necessarily for my child to get an education, but just because what? At this point, I got to go to work. I got to go to work. Gentlemen?
It's ridiculous that like still in 2022 we're having fights, discussions, and whatnot about hair. Like we're so unevolved. We're so unevolved, so prudish as a country that we're still having this conversation about hair, and it's black hair. Like it's nobody else's hair. It's just black hair. And to your point, about the exhaustion of a person like LaRock, yes, we are exhausted from constantly being faced with dumb-ish.
Existing.
Like
it's the cost of existing while black, man.
Yeah. There's this show that just started airing on HBO Max. We Own the City, and it is about the post Freddie Gray Baltimore, where the cops really took off. Like they stopped making arrests because they felt like their hands were tied because they couldn't do business as usual because they were afraid of getting But it's like, if y'all can't arrest people without beating them up, maybe you shouldn't be cops, And this really reminds me of that, which it airs today, so you should go check it out. Right.
Thanks
Absolutely.
for plugging them while we ain't getting paid for that.
Hey, they're going to pay us one day.
I think about last year around this time, we did a story about Nicole Piles from North Carolina. She had to cut her braids at a softball game because of beads.
Yeah.
Because the referee said, "No, you have beads in your hair. It's in the way of who?"
Right.
And that's crazy. That's great. And I know I have a little one that does soccer. And I know there have been a couple of times when it's been like, dang, I need to get these beads out her hair before her soccer game. And it's not because some ref told me. I don't know if it's subconsciously because I read these reports and I'm thinking like, I don't want this to be my baby. But for me, it's about safety. Beads are going to fall out of your head. They fall out your head when you're sleeping. So for me, it then became about safety. Like I just don't want the beads in your head because I don't want them to fall out onto the field and you trip or something like that. However, you got to be mindful of the activities that your children are in, what they're doing, right? Like I've had friends who've had daughters who do cheerleading, right? And there's a hairstyle for that, a ponytail.
Yeah, but I'm looking at one of the greatest women athletes that ever lived. Highly decorated. Championships, Grand Slams, all of that. And she wore beads like the beads were a part of her brand. The beads were a part of her brand to the point that every picture that she was in, especially at the beginning of her career, every picture that she was in, she was identified by the beads first. What and who I'm talking about is Venus Williams. That's who I'm talking about. Venus Williams.
Yo, if I got to get this door. Stop ringing the doorbell, people. Whoever's, I'm pretty sure you're watching the show. Please stop ringing the doorbell. Thank you so much. All right, but I get that, and I love that because you can kind of see the culture in the beads, right? You can see the culture, and it's crazy that he mentioned that because my daughters, they get their hair braided all the time, and my one daughter actually said, she was like, oh, I actually feel like a black person with this hairstyle. Not like an African, but I feel like a black person. And I'm like, what do you mean like a black person? Like, you have your hair braided all the time. And so she explained to me like, well, yes, I usually have my hair braided and it's in beads. And I feel African, So usually, most of the time, I feel African with my braids and my beads. But this time, just with this style, this seems like a black American, like a black person style. Like this doesn't seem African at all. So it was interesting to hear her kind of differentiate between the cultures and how she feels and identifies with herself based on how her hair is done. Right? And I can't imagine what that feels like for young people who are playing sports and doing the best that they can to only be met with some adult saying, oh, you got to take your hair out. Oh, you can't look like this. Oh, you got to try something different. So yeah, we gotta be mindful of that. Sarge, did you want to take a look at any of these comments?
Yeah, let's take a look at them. All right, let's start with this shouldn't be an issue. Laura Beth says just another way to knock kids down. Nothing is good enough for these schools. Whatever happened to educating these kids to better their lives when they graduate? People, please wake up. Gary says if you try to get these kids to cut their hair off these days, you're doing that for publicity. Your enrollment must be down. You're trying to attract more rednecks to your school. Facts. Can you imagine a district dress code saying no straight hair, no shaved heads, no comb overs? Kirsten says TCP school. Sabrina says they made it so that the black community has to segregate themselves. Gary Brown says raise up. Daddy says if you can't arrest unarmed people without killing them, you shouldn't be a LEO.
All right, we got another comment here that says just another way to knock the kids down. Nothing is good enough for these schools. What happened to educating these kids to better their lives when they graduate? People, please wake up. That comes from Aunt Laura. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in, Aunt Laura. But yeah, absolutely. It almost seems like the school is a place where they go to break our children down further rather than lift them up and help them to grow and become, the person that they're supposed to be. It's weird because I definitely don't think school is the same place that it was meant to be 20, 30 years ago. I don't believe that at all. It is definitely a different place now used to indoctrinate our students. And honestly, in some levels, actually make some of them feel worse and less than. But guys, we got more stories for you. Go ahead and share the stream because up next we have a story about this murderous police officer trying to get out. Yep, that's right. Derek Chavin is looking to have his murder conviction overturned. Let's get into it. Go ahead, write your comments down in the chat box so that we can read them. Attorneys of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chavin have filed a court appeal to overturn his conviction in the killing of George Floyd, saying the proceedings were so riddled with error, misconduct, and prejudice that they were structurally defective. The 82-page filing lists several aspects of the proceedings, including protests outside the courthouse, its wide-scale pretrial publicity, and Minneapolis's announcement that it would pay a $27 million settlement to Floyd's family, which came during jury selection. The filing also accuses the prosecutors of misconduct. The coverage glorified Floyd and demonized Chavin. Chavin's attorneys are asking the appeals court to either reverse his conviction, grant him a new trial in a different venue, and reverse the conviction, or return the case to a lower court for resentencing. They argue that the change of venue was needed in the case. That request was initially denied by the lower court. If the court chooses to uphold the conviction, the filing requests that it reduces Chavin's sentence will be within the state sentencing guidelines. The attorneys are also pointed out that the jurors' concerns for safety. So here we go. Derek Chavin's lawyers are going for an appeal to either reverse his conviction, grant him a new trial in a different venue, and reverse the conviction, or return the case to the lower court for resentencing. Yes, and that is where we're at with the George Floyd, Derek Chavin situation. That is the update. Guys, I can't believe this, but I can say I am not surprised at all by this. I hope that they put this man under the jail. Put it under the jail. I don't even know why his lawyers was out here doing this work. Gentlemen.
I'm over Derek Show, and I can't. He just stay in jail, bro. You were wrong. All of y'all were wrong. Y'all killed that man.
I'm pessimistic on this. We have 2 minutes left, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But yeah, I think he's going to get out. I mean, not now, but you know, when everything kind of tempers down, you know, he'll get out. You know, it'll be a back page story.
They locked him up. They calmed the country down.
Yep. You know, and that just may be my own pessimism right there. But you know, we'll see. Folks, want to thank you for joining us. We are going to put a pin in it right there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Before we head out, Lady L.
All right, guys, listen. I do want to remind you that our early bird tickets have gone on sale for the Adult Prom taking place September 10th at Millersville University Ware Center in downtown Lancaster. Early bird tickets are up.
Yes. So 735 Lafayette Street. Come on down. Meet the team. Meet the candidate. And have a great time with us on Saturday, 6:30 to 8:30. Carlos, good morning to you, and shout out to you from Lancaster to Connecticut. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in church.
It's Dana Hamp Gulick. I'm a candidate for the 96th House District, and this is my story. Born here in Lancaster, I went to Manheim Township High School. I went to the University of Pittsburgh, where I earned 2 bachelor's degrees, one in German language and one in communications. And then I started my career in marketing. People should vote for me because I'm going to bring the bold moves and the vocal advocacy and the willingness to really be strategic and to push on pushable places and pull on the pullable ones. I'm going to do the work that I think is not being done in this district right now. Most important is that I am a single mother to a 17-year-old daughter. I am a caregiver to my aging mother, and I serve on the board of 2 local nonprofits that help families in crisis. 2022 brings us a brand new district in the 96th that has been redrawn, and we have an opportunity to send 2 Democrats from Lancaster County to Harrisburg for the very first time ever. There has been the same representative here for 30 years, and a lot has changed in 30 years. The world has changed drastically since my opponent was first elected. And I think now is the time to replace somebody who is comfortable and out of touch with somebody who is hungry and passionate.